Hi, I'm Greg Johnson, the CEO of Invoca, and in the run-up to Invoca Summit, which is coming October 3rd and 4th, we're speaking with some of the amazing innovative customers that have been nominated for Invoca Summit Awards. So today I'm excited to be joined by Taylor Pawley, who is a director on the marketing team at Rick's Custom Fencing and Decking in the Pacific Northwest. Taylor, thanks for joining us. Excited to have you as a customer, and congratulations on all the great work that you've been doing.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so exciting to chat with you today, Greg.
Good. So first of all, for the audience, probably somewhat self-evident from the name of the company, what you all do at Rick's Custom Fencing and Decking. But for those of us who have never had a custom fence nor deck put in, you mind just talking a little bit about the nature of the business and what you all do?
For sure. Yeah. Rick's Custom Fencing and Decking was started in 1980 here in the Portland area, and we've grown over the last 42 years to be 5 locations across Oregon and Washington. We work primarily with residential customers to improve their homes. We build fences, we build decks, we build patio covers, automatic gates, that kind of thing. And we don't do much on the commercial side. We really like that homeowner interaction. We're very much a person to person company. We've got a little bit of an interesting structure that's led Invoca to be a really vital tool to how we do our marketing. So
Is that in terms of different geographic locations that you're driving awareness and leads down to?
it is. It's a little bit of that, and it's also the fact that we have 30 or so sales staff throughout the year, and we've given them the ability to kind of control their own script. So we allow them to kind of guide a customer through that process without a specific script and prompt. So
Got it. Oh, awesome. Well, we will come back and we will talk about that in a minute.
mhm,
I thought I might start, Rick's Custom Fencing and Decking uses Invoca both from a marketing perspective and a sales perspective.
mhm.
And one of the topics that I think, every company is always thinking about is the relationship between marketing and sales. And we hear a lot of times that part of the value of Invoca is around connecting that digital marketing data to what happens through those sales conversations. But you all have gone a level beyond that, it sounds like, and really trying to understand in your sales conversations how marketing impacted the relationship of the consumer. Do you mind just kind of sharing your perspective on that and some of the ways that you all try to dig a little bit deeper into understanding what marketing influence is happening as part of your sales process?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the last, 40 years of our business, it was very important for us to ask the question as part of our kind of investigation into what the customer was looking for. We would make sure that how did you hear about us was a big part of that. So our lack of script was supported by maybe a list of 10 questions that we wanted to be asked on every phone call, and that was a big part of it. That led us to be able to track our marketing data, and we were relying on that question alone to give us the feedback to know if our marketing was working. So you can imagine that over time that gave us a lot of good data, but it was not always the most reliable data set to go off of to really look at ROI, especially on a general branding type effort, and even on that direct lead gen. It's tracking is a difficult thing for an advertiser, for a marketer of their advertising. So
Yeah.
Invoca has really helped us to fill in those gaps.
Good, good. Yeah, I often hear, people talk about that quantitative structured data and understanding where sales and marketing are fitting together, but
Mhm,
hearing the qualitative voice of the customer is really interesting too. Now, you mentioned earlier sort of the role of scripts or the lack of role of
mhm,
scripts in your sales
mhm,
process. This is a topic I hear a lot of our customers talking about.
mhm.
So question number one, can you all can you talk about sort of the evolution of the role of the script or not of the script, how you want to drive that agent behavior at your business? And then number two, how are you using technology to sort of help refine the sales motion, given that you're not pushing agents or salespeople to follow that very structured script?
Yeah, absolutely. So we part of the reason that we don't have that specific script is that each of our people, they field their own calls. So when a customer calls in, they're the one that picks up the phone and they're going to guide that customer through the rest of the journey. So they're going to make a lot of decisions in that first phone call. And it's really important that we give them the training and information so that they can organically lead that customer through that conversation to figure out, what's the next step? Do we need to invite them into our store to look at displays and talk to them a little bit closer about what they want? Or are they ready for us to come out and visit their home and do an on-site kind of inspection and design process and price out a project for them? It really gives us that opportunity to kind of qualify the lead at that point, and do it in the most positive way for the customer, where they don't feel like we're saying, no, we're not really interested in your project. We might be able to have the opportunity to say, hey, you're a little early in your process. If you're looking at a project for next year, we're excited to help you, but maybe you come into the store versus us coming out. So we give our salespeople that opportunity to do that. But that does leave a lot of room for questions along the way of how do we then make sure that we are quantifying that process in the correct way to really see, did we do the best job of leading that customer through the journey? So, and
Taylor,
remind me, go ahead. Yeah.
one quick question for you, because I'm gonna follow up on this. Let me choose a different word, because I feel like sometimes the word script is loaded. Do you feel like you all have a sales process? Like if you asked one of your sales team members, said, hey, can you talk to me about the sales process? Would their answer be, no, we don't really have one? Or like, how would they respond to that question?
I would say that they would definitely say we have a process. They would agree that we don't have a script,
Got it.
but yeah, for sure, a process that we've kind of trained into the ability to do this on your own does come with, but here's what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, it's sort of like, can I paraphrase as you try to give your sales teams a toolkit and a methodology of a way to sort of qualify or diagnose where is the right point of a customer, but you're not getting so into the weeds of here are the exact words that you should use for each individual. Is that the right way to think about it, maybe?
It is, and it definitely, when we started looking at bringing the Invoca for sales on, it was definitely, the question was, well, how are we going to do that then? How
Right.
are we going to find the way to score these calls when they're not following that specific script? But we were able to, as you say, the methodology was there that we could say, okay, no, but you still have these processes and these touch points that you're trying to make throughout the call, that we could still reliably say, oh no, I know they're going to have this conversation. And if they have this conversation, the outcome is going to tell us what the next step for that customer journey is. And we can track that.
Got it. And so were you doing that manually before and now you've used the technology to automate it to some degree, or were you not even really being able to review those calls before? What was kind of the before and the after?
I would say from a marketing side, we were doing everything manually. So we were really having to follow up with salespeople to say, now you marked this lead as this thing. Are you sure? At what point did they say that? That was very much a manual process. And it was very unreliable in some cases. The other side of that with the sales, it was just a process we weren't able to do. It was so manual that you would have to go through and listen to, hundreds of calls, to really find out what are you even trying to look for, to improve. So it was something where our sales training was, it started at the beginning and it pretty much ended with the phone training. Just didn't exist beyond that point. You got trained how to do your job, and then after that it was like, well, maybe we'll listen to 10 calls a week and hope we have time to talk to people about them.
Got it. And so now you're using technology to look, not, word by word level script adherence, but if I think about the process, sort of, are there specific windows of opportunity or areas in the process? And are people kind of going down that path? Is that sort of how you're using the
Hmm.
technology to understand? Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. Hmm.
Okay, interesting. And then last thing, and that's super helpful because I feel like that is a debate, even the word choice of if I say the word script or if I use the
Yeah.
sales process. Because I think, for any growing business that's adding net new salespeople, if you don't have some framework or structure, it's hard to help make those individuals successful. So I often find like the choice of the word process versus script makes a big difference. Um, One thing that you all had seen is also exposing kind of a broader set of people beyond just marketing and sales to some of these conversations within Rick's custom fencing and decking.
Hmm.
Um, I'm going to put words in your mouth for a second because I'm guessing, but kind of getting that idea of voice of the customer more broadly exposed within Rex. Do you mind just talking a little bit about how you've done that, what impact it's had on the organization? Because there are a lot of our customers who are like, I work in marketing. My job is
Yeah.
purely just to spend money on marketing. They aren't thinking about that bigger brand experience and touch points and how do you get the organization aligned. So what's worked for you in that regard?
Oh, that's a great question. And yeah, it's interesting. I took on the position at the end of 2019. So I had about 2, 3 months to set up what I thought was going to be a normal marketing plan for a normal year. And then that was not the case. But in the very first couple months, I brought on Invoca because I knew that there was the missing piece that we weren't getting. I knew that the calls that we were getting 40 to 50% of our leads off of calls, but we really weren't. We had our CRM that was helping us to find out how the web process was going, but the process of finding customers through calls and being able to track what brought that person to call didn't exist. So we brought that on, and then it was about adapting and listening and figuring out what was working and what was not, and how our salespeople were guiding that journey. It's been a process of using the resources that we have, and Invoca has become a huge resource for us to really figure out how we're guiding people through that customer journey. Because it is important that that phone call really sets the precedence for the rest of the experience that a customer has. And so, yeah, we've used it. I hope I'm answering your question
Yeah.
or as you asked it here, but it's been really interesting, and we've learned so much from being able to dissect the customer journey a little bit more through the touch points we have with Invoca for sales, as well as the marketing data that we're getting off of that. And so for me, it's so much more than just looking at, did they call because of this specific marketing effort versus what did they say on that call that leads me to know more about why they were motivated to call.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's interesting to have the ability to listen to those conversations, but to be able to find them so easily with the resources that we have now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And it's always fun to see marketers who take sort of a broader purview beyond just, obviously your job begins with how do I spend the right amount of
Mm,
investment in Google and Facebook and all those other sort of things.
right.
But, also the strategic impact on the company of understanding what motivates the consumer, why they buy from you, what they do with your products and services. Well,
Mhm.
Taylor, I just want to say thanks. I know I've gotten awesome feedback from the team in terms of their engagement for you, your suggestions for us back on the product side. So congratulations, appreciate the partnership, and thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Greg. Yeah, it's really been a wonderful process to learn Invoca and to see all of the resources that it's added to our ability to do our jobs. So really, thank you. It's an honor to be part of the Invoca community and to be nominated for this. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, appreciate it, and have a good day and look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Sounds great.